You're the Ard Rooney, or General Secretary of Gaeilge, and we are here today at the campaigning day for Gaeilge and Gaeltachta with regard to Bórd Snip Nua and the draft strategy in the Irish language. What's happening here exactly?
Well, I think it's been a fantastic opportunity for our elected representatives to come over and have a chat to us about the implications that would be in place if the Bórd Snip Nua recommendations were actually implemented, and also to give them the opportunity to discuss with us, to have the first discussion maybe on the draft strategy that published last week. We've been able to, I suppose, let them know exactly what we are thinking about when it comes to the Bórd Snip Nua, and to make sure that they realise that a lot of the implications would be devastating for the Gaeltachta areas and also for the Irish language in general. I mean, the Bórd Snip Nua, if it was to be implemented, literally would take away all the infrastructure that's there for the promotion of language at the moment. The second thing, I suppose, is that the draft strategy now being published has I suppose, shown that the government doesn't seem to be following what the Bórd Snip has been recommending, and that's a good thing. But we would like to see the new draft strategy strengthened, and there's various areas that needs to be done. For example, we need to have Gaeltachta recognised as the group that should be supporting teachers and providing resource materials that are needed to implement the many recommendations in the draft strategy to do with education. And we're very happy in many respects of a lot of the idea of the recommendations in the draft strategy in terms of a better education system for teaching Irish. For example, something the Cunra has been promoting for a long time is the idea of part immersion, that there be a number of other subjects taught through Irish at primary school level, and that's included in draft strategy. Also, there's to do that we would have to have the teachers trained, and that's included in draft strategy as well.
So, I mean, we're in the middle of a financial crisis at the moment. We're in the middle of a financial crisis at the moment. The government is up this one in terms of public finances. Unions are going on strike. We're paying off billions to the banks for the debt they landed us with. Why is it important to spend money on Irish now?
Well, it's very important that we do it right, and there's no point in throwing money away, if we're not going to teach and learn the language correctly. So I think anyway, there's a number of things we can do that won't cost money. For example, when we talk about teacher training and the teachers spending a period of time in the Gaeltachta areas, we would recommend that the students spend the first 3 weeks of their course in the Gaeltachta area rather than doing it at the end of their first year when they've already met each other through English, where they've started, I suppose, connections that will remain. It's very hard to speak to somebody in Irish after meeting them through English. So we would say, let's have the first 3 weeks of the course, let's have them meet each other through Irish. More chance that will help them when they're actually learning Irish later on and learning how to teach through Irish.
Yeah, you mentioned COG earlier and the provision of resources for teachers, but there's hardly enough resources at the moment to give to teachers teaching in Irish schools or in Gaelic schools. How will we find the resources, or where will we find them to teach other subjects to Irish?
At the end of the day, the government has a responsibility to provide the access to its parents that actually want their children to be taught through Irish, and as such they will have to find the resources to help and to provide these textbooks and these materials that are needed in the future. The reason why where we are now is because that hasn't been done in the past, and I think the government will find the funding that's needed for these different things. But it's a question of time. It's a question also of this draft strategy is over 20 years, so we would like to see things implemented as quickly as possible. But obviously we're going to be realistic and we'll see what can be implemented, but on a strategic and an escalating basis in terms of the amount of resources and materials provided.
I mean, there's two documents. There's the recommendation of Bórd Snip, the Colin McCarthy report, and on the other hand, there's the draft strategy. If you were a betting man now, which do you think is going to be implemented?
I would say the draft strategy. I think that's what the government are behind. I think they've agreed at a cabinet at this stage, the draft document. So I think that's very much what they're behind at this stage. And it's very welcome that they are behind that now, and that they have left the recommendations of Colin McCarthy behind them, such as getting rid of the getting rid of the Ryan Gaeltachta, and also taking away the enterprise functions of Gaeltachta.
And one final question, I know you're very busy and so on. 250,000 daily Irish speakers by the year 2030. Do you think that is an achievable aim?
It's definitely achievable as long as we are able to implement the recommendations that are in the draft strategy, but also we also need to, and something that's not mentioned much in the draft strategy is going to be the involvement of the community at large and community organisations that are in there in the midst of Irish language promotion at the moment. And I think it's a very achievable aim as long as we all pull together and that we all have our different roles and we all implement them.
One of the things that may happen in the budget is that funding for the likes of nGaeilge may be cut, which would leave the efforts by people such as yourself and others throughout the country in jeopardy. Do you think? I mean, can you square the circle? I mean, there seems to be two major bureaucracies being created, Gaeilge and on the other hand Gaeilge, and somewhere along the line there's going to be cuts.
Well, we don't know where those cuts are going to be yet, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen in terms of Gaeilge and the new body Gaeilge, which one's actually going to be in charge of the Irish language organisations, which one's not going to be. We don't know how that's all going to pan out yet, we don't know how it's going to work. But I would say that over the last number of years, the Irish language organisations and Gaeilge and the money going into Irish language development in general has been very low compared to the other areas in society that have gained momentously from the Celtic Tiger, whereas we were sort of held back because of very much political reasons at the time. And now that they have to cut back in certain areas, we would say very much that they can't cut back more from the Irish language promotion areas because we never got the extra income when it was actually in the country.
Okay, Julian,